So at this time, we'll give the floor to Brother Jim Sommerville, his address. The first one is on Friends. So, Brother Jim.
Thank you. Going to give 3 talks today. First one's going to be for the younger folks on Friends. Second one, even though the first one is for the kids, hopefully everybody can get something out of it. Second one is going to be on dating, and I think we pretty much know the age group that's going to be dedicated to. And the third one is on marriage. And once again, I'm going to be speaking about marriage, how to make your marriage last a lifetime. And hopefully everybody, whether married or not, can get something out of that. So to start off on Friends, first of all, I'm going to look for a volunteer. Can I get a volunteer? Rachel, I'll take you. Since you put your hand up, come on up. You know what you just volunteered for? No. No idea, huh? You're going to be my amanuensis today, okay? She just volunteered to be my amanuensis, and she says she doesn't know what that means. So I'm going to see if some of you can help her. I'm going to give you some names of some other amanuensis, and can you tell me what they had in common? I'm going to give you names of amanuensis such as Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Okay? They were prophets. Something else they had in common. They were amanuenses. What were they? What else did they have in common? Daniel, how about Moses? No? What do all these people have in common? What did they do? They were all amanuenses. What did they do? Okay, some of the older ones. Anybody help me out? Don't recognize any names besides being prophets?
Were they writers?
They were writers. Okay, what did they write? Okay, they wrote the Bible. Okay, so that's what they had in common. These are all writers of the Bible. They were writers. Now, did they write their own thoughts? Somebody said they wrote God's word, right? So they were writers, but they didn't write what they were thinking. They wrote what somebody told them to write. Okay? God said, here's what I want you to write, and that's what they wrote. And so they weren't authors. They didn't write the Bible and make the stuff up and say, okay, here's what I think should go into the Bible. They were directed by somebody to say, here's what you put into the Bible. So they were amanuenses. They wrote, but it wasn't writing what they were thinking. They wrote what somebody else told them to write. So you're going to be my amanuensis today, right? So you'll write what I tell you to write. You don't even have to think. Okay, right up at the top, I want you to write friends. And then I'm going to look for another volunteer. Who has friends? Who can tell me something about your friends? Nobody has any friends? You have a friend? Come on, Lila, come on up. Let's see if we can get this loose. Here we go. Who's your friend? What's your friend's name?
Claire.
And why is Claire your friend? Why are you friends with her?
Because we go to the same school.
Okay, they have something in common, right? You go to the same school. You like to play with her? You like to do the same things?
Yes.
Okay, so, thank you. That's one friend. Let's have Rachel write, put number 1 and put like this to do the same things. Okay? How about somebody else have a friend? Somebody else has a friend they want to tell me about? Jordan, come on up. And what's your friend's name?
Ashley.
And why is Ashley your friend? They nice to you? They treat you good? You like to do the same things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why don't we put for number 2, nice to each other. They're nice to, respectful, nice person. Anything else? Anybody else have friends that they want to tell me about? That you can tell me something about your friend? Why are they your friend? How does your friends treat you?
Good.
Okay, they're friends because they treat you good, right? If they treated you bad, they wouldn't be your friend, right? So, why don't you say they have the same values, they like the same things, and they treat you the same way? Now, what if other people start saying bad things about you? Do you think your friends would do that?
No.
No, because they're your friend, right? They're going to treat you right. So they care about you. They're loyal. They care about you. Why don't you put that down? Okay, why don't you sit down? Thank you very much. That was harder than I expected. Okay, there's one other thing about friends. Before I let you sit down, there's one other thing I want you to put down there. But I know you're planning on going sledding this afternoon. I know a better hill than what Joshua and David came up with. It's a nicer hill. The snow, there's hardly anybody ever goes down this hill. So the snow is really nice. The reason nobody tends to go down it, though, is right at the bottom of the hill, there's a highway. And there's lots of cars and trucks going past it. But the hill is really nice. Okay? Now, one of your friends says, hey, yeah, I think you should go down that hill. Another friend says, no. Who is really your friend? Josh. The person that says, no, don't go there. But why? If I want to go there, shouldn't my friend cooperate with me and say, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead down the hill if that's what you want to do. I'm with you. Would that be a good friend? No. Okay? So, let's say, looks out for your best interest. Sometimes a friend has to say, no, don't go there. That's not a good idea. They don't always agree with you. They don't always think what you're thinking is the right thing. Okay, once you do that, you can sit down. I'm going to use a couple of friends. Thank you. A couple of friends in the Bible. First of all, in 1 Kings, we read of King Ahab. He was the king of Israel, and he was going to go to war. And he asked a friend of his, King Jehoshaphat, to go and help him in a battle. And this is what Jehoshaphat said when he got there. And Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel, inquire, I pray thee, at the word of the Lord today. He says, I want you to ask God if we should really be doing this, going up to battle. Then the king of Israel, that is Ahab, gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, and said unto them, shall I go up against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or should I forbear? So he asked his 400 prophets, he said, you think I should go up to battle? And they said, go up, for the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king. So all his 400 prophets told him, yep, good idea, go ahead, you're going to win. And Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here a prophet of the Lord beside these, that I may inquire of him? And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, There is yet one man, Micaiah, but I hate him, for he does not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. I hate this guy. He's not my friend. He doesn't tell me what I want to hear. I want the people to tell me good things and tell me to do what I want to do, just like they're going sledding down the hill. I want my friends to be like that, to tell me what I want. This guy always tells me the opposite. See, Ahab was a very bad king. And so Micaiah kept saying, no, no, no. And so King Ahab hated him. He didn't like him. He was not his friend. And all the prophets prophesied, saying, Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it into the king's hand. And the messenger that was gone to call Micaiah spake unto him, saying, Behold now the words of all the prophet declare good unto the king with one mouth. Let thy word, I pray thee, be like the words of one of them, and speak thou which is good. So he got his instructions from the servant of the king. I'm going to call you, here's what I want you to tell the king. Everybody else is telling the king, go ahead, go up. And Micaiah said, As the Lord liveth, what the Lord saith unto me, that will I speak. Too bad. You call me, you ask me, I'm going to tell you exactly what God told me to say. All these prophets were telling the king to go ahead, do what you want to do. And they were very popular with the king, because they told him what the king wanted to hear. But Micaiah said, I don't care if I'm popular with the king. But that meant Micaiah was not going to be the king's friend. And it meant Micaiah, when he told the king not to go, you know what happened to him? He got thrown into prison. The king did not want to hear that. But sometimes, if you want to be friends with the king, or if you want to be friends with a certain person that's very popular, rich, it might mean doing things or saying things that you know are wrong, because that's what you got to do to be their friend. And if you don't do those things, if you don't cooperate, you're not going to be their friend. You don't want to get them mad, so you have a problem. It's not easy to stand up against a friend, especially somebody that's a king, especially somebody that's powerful and rich, someone that has money, or somebody that's popular that you really want to be friends with. You say, this person's not going to like me if I don't go along with them, so I'm going to go along with them. Especially if that person can do good or do bad to you, they can cause you a lot of trouble if you don't go along with them. It's my boss. My boss wants me to do this. I don't think it's right, but I'm going to lose my job. Maybe I better just go along. You know, we run into these situations all the time. It's a friend. It's somebody that's trying to get you to do something, and we got to be like Micaiah. It's easier just to be their friend and go along with them. And you know what we're reading in today's reading that John read right at the beginning of the chapter? One of the laws under the law of Moses, thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. If everybody else is doing it and you know it's wrong, it was against the law for the person to do it. You've got to look at what you're doing and make that decision on your own. But if you want friends, it's easier to go along with it. That's what all the other prophets did. And Micaiah ended up being thrown in jail because he didn't. Sometimes our friends, our neighbors, our bosses, our co-workers, We just can't go along with them. But remember what we just learned about our friends. They like to do the same things that you do. That's why they're friends. Our friends do the same thing. If you don't do what they like to do, you're not going to be their friend. Paul says in 1 Corinthians, be not deceived. Okay? Don't be fooled by this. Evil communications corrupt good manners. And what he's saying, he's showing how dangerous it is to have friends that are bad people. These bad things can rub off on you because we will be just like our friends. It says, don't be fooled. Bad or evil communications or bad communications, talk, lifestyle, the things you do, if they're bad, they will corrupt good habits. You could be a good person, but if you hang out with bad people, you're going to pretty soon become a bad person. You start to develop bad habits, just like the people you're hanging around with. Because if you don't do the same things, if you don't like the same things, if you're not nice to them, if you don't have like the same ideas and do the same things, they're not going to be your friends. That's what friends are about. That's why they're your friends, because you're hanging out with them and you're doing the same thing. If you're going to be friends with bad people, then you need to be a bad person. That's the way it works. Now, I brought something with me for this talk. You know, this is a bucket. Only this bucket is going to be a special bucket for today. It's a love bucket. I'm going to be using my love bucket for all three talks today. Each one of us have a bucket like that inside of us, in our brain, in our head. We all have this love bucket. And we need to keep our love bucket full. If our love bucket starts getting empty, we don't feel very good. Even little tiny babies. You take a little tiny baby, you put it down in its crib, and you walk away, and pretty soon the baby's going to be crying, right? And you pick up the little baby, and you hold it, and you cuddle it, and you rock it, and it stops crying. Because when you set it down there by itself, all of a sudden it feels like its love bucket has gone empty. And you take it and you hold it close and rock it, and it feels like its love bucket is full. And it's the same way with all of us. You know, you're playing in your room, you're having a lot of fun, you feel pretty good, and then your mother comes in. What do you think you're doing? And all of a sudden, what happens to your love bucket? Goes right down. Nobody loves me. Everybody's mean to me. Right? You feel like your love bucket went right empty. Poor me. Nobody likes me. Everybody hates me. Going to the garden to eat worms because nobody cares. Right? We need to have our love buckets full. And even teenagers, when they come from broken homes and families that don't care about them, they find friendship and love in all the wrong places. They get into trouble because they want the attention. Their love bucket's empty, and they need to get their love bucket full. And even if it's the wrong way to fill it, they need to fill it. And so they fill it the best way they can, and they'll find ways to fill their love bucket, even though it's the wrong way. So, anytime our love bucket starts getting low, we don't like it, and we'll find a way to fill it. Friends can help us keep our love bucket full. If we have a lot of good friends, then we have a full love bucket. So we want to be with friends so that our love bucket can stay full. But we need to resist the desire to go along with them just to keep our love bucket full. You got to make sure the friends you have, that you're filling them with the right friends. Sometimes we need to stand up like a Micaiah and say no. Jeremiah said, I sat not with the assembly of the mockers, I sat alone because of thy hand. Jeremiah didn't go along with them. He said, I had to sit alone. He says, I didn't lend money to people and charge them a lot of interest, nor did people lend to me and I not pay them back. But everybody hates me, he said. Nobody's my friend. He felt very down. He felt like his love bucket was empty. He's called the lamenting prophet. But he sat alone. That's what I have to do. That's what I'm going to do. He didn't go along, even though it meant having an empty love bucket. I'm going to tell you another story about a friend in the Bible. We read of this in Samuel. There's this guy named Amnon, and he was in love. And Amnon loved a girl named Tamar, but he didn't think she was going to go for him. Tamar didn't. He said she's not interested in me. So he was not happy. His love bucket was pretty empty at this point. And we read, and Amnon had a friend, and his name was Jonadab. And Jonadab was a very shrewd man. He was a really smart guy. He could figure things out. He's the kind of friend you want to help you out when you've got a problem, because he's pretty smart. And so Amnon went to Jonadab, and he told him of the problem about Tamar. And so Jonadab told Amnon that the best way for him to get Tamar was to go home and to pretend that he was sick, and then ask Tamar to bring him a little food. And when she got to his house, he could kidnap her and take her, and she'd be his. Now, do you think that was a good friend to have? Okay, that was not a good advice to get from a friend. But it worked. Amnon pretended he was sick, and Tamar brought the food over, and he captured her. So he got the girl he wanted, just like his friend Jonadab told him he could do. But it wasn't right. It wasn't the right thing to do. And when you listen to bad advice, and you have friends that don't have the same values, okay? He didn't have the same value. He said, oh, here's how you do it. He didn't care about right and wrong. He says, you want it? Here's how you do it. You can end up with bad things happening. And a lot of bad things happened in this story. It didn't turn out good for anybody. But when you take advice of friends that you know isn't good, they call it peer pressure. It's like all your friends are saying, hey, let's do this, let's do that, let's do it this way. And you've got to have the ability to stand up and say, no, like Jeremiah, I sat alone. I didn't go along with them. Or Micaiah, I'm not going to tell the king what he wants to hear. I don't care if it means getting thrown into jail. Because when you take bad advice and go along with bad people, you can end up with very bad consequences. Now, consequences is a big word, but I want you to think about consequences. What consequences mean, let's say you have a pet, you have a dog, and your dog has fleas, but you like your dog, so you sleep with your dog. And what's going to happen? You'll have fleas. Okay, good. That's the consequences of sleeping with your dog with fleas. You didn't want to get fleas. That's not why you had the dog in your bed, so I can get fleas. But that's the consequence. That's what happens when you have this situation and you do this, then that's what's going to happen. I grew up on a farm. We used to call it the law of the farm. And the law of the farm was if you plant potatoes, you're going to grow potatoes. If you plant beets, you're going to grow beets. If you plant corn, you're going to grow corn. Okay? You get what you plant. You get what you sow. That's the law of the farm. That's the way it works. That's the consequences. If I wanted corn and I planted potatoes, the consequences of me planting potatoes is I'm going to get potatoes. Okay? And that's what happens when you hang out with bad friends. That's the consequences. Well, listen to the consequences of what Jonadab's advice to Amnon was. Tamar's brother found out what happened. He wasn't very happy about that at all. And so he invites Amnon over to his house. And when Amnon comes over to his house, he had somebody waiting for him, and he stabbed him. Now, was Jonadab really a good friend to Amnon? He got him killed. That was not a good thing. He didn't intend to get him killed, but he gave him some advice that got somebody really upset, and he got killed. You can't control circumstances sometimes once you start it. Once you make a bad decision, it's like getting a big boulder, start rolling down the hill. You get it going and you say, ooh, that was a bad idea. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. It's going. You can't just say, oh, change my mind, stop. Okay, once you get it rolling, it's rolling. And where it goes, you can't control. Okay, Jonadab and Amnon couldn't control the fact that Tamar's brother got really mad and had Amnon killed. They didn't even think that far ahead. It's like, let's get this big stone going. That's what they were doing, and they didn't even think of the results. Now, so Amnon got killed. Jonadab got his friend killed. And you know what happened to Tamar's brother? Now he's a murderer. He had to flee the country. So now he's in exile in a different country. So all kinds of bad things happen just because of that one friend that gave him some bad advice. And this story is in the Bible so that we can read these stories and say, yeah, maybe I better think about the advice I take. Maybe I better think about the friends I have, because we've got examples of good friends like Jeremiah and Micaiah, and we got a Jonadab. And throughout the readings, when we do our readings, we can pick out these stories and see good people and bad people, good friends and bad friends. We need to develop the ability to say no, to resist the temptation of the peer pressure to go along with the crowd, like today's reading. Don't follow a multitude to do evil. Resist the peer pressure. Stay away from those people that are going to take us the wrong way, that are going to make the wrong decisions. And develop friends that'll help us in our walk towards the kingdom. And even though when you stand up and you say, no, I'm not going to do that, you sometimes have to have the strength and the courage to overcome the ridicule. You're going to get ridiculed. I don't care whether you're 5 years old or you're 65 years old. There's going to be people, oh, you're sissy, you're afraid to do that. Sometimes you just got to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. You can make fun of me if you want. You've got to do the right thing. You say, I don't think that's right, and I'm not going to do it. It's very hard to do. It's very easy to go along with the crowd. That's why that verse was in today's reading in the law. Don't follow the crowd to do evil. Stand up. Say no. Be like Jeremiah. Be like Micaiah. And don't follow the crowd. And it's easier if you have friends that have the same values of you and like to do the same things, then they can help you to do the things that you think are right to do. But if you have bad friends, either you're going to be a bad person or you're not going to get along with them very well. Now, I've been talking about friends, and I'm going to wrap this up because I want all the kids to stand up. Can all you kids stand up? And I want you to stand up, and I want you to turn around to the back of the room. Everybody look at the back of the room. And I want to introduce you to my friends. See these people sitting back there? All those people sitting back there are my friends. We're all working together. We're all helping each other. We all have the same values. They're good friends that I chose to be with because they helped me. Okay? So you can sit down. I just wanted to introduce you to all my friends that are here today. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to be friends with people that think and will work with you and have the same values. We try to work together. All of us sitting down there in the room, we try to do the same kind of things, be kind to each other and work together. We have the same values. We care about each other. If somebody's sick, if something happens, we try to help each other. But it doesn't always mean we agree. Because we got to look out for each other's interest. And sometimes I might be doing something and somebody says, hey, I don't think that's a good thing to do. And if they're my friend, I want to listen to them and say, maybe you're right. Maybe I should rethink this. And that's why we get together with our friends to help each other, because we've all got the same goal. And the key to dealing with life's problems is to develop friends of people who we not only relate to, who we feel comfortable with, but who can assist us and help us in our goal. If our goal is to get into the kingdom, then we want people that will help us to accomplish that goal. And you need to be prepared to cut off friends that are going to take you the other way. Because that's not your goal. That's not who you are. That's not who you want to be in life. But if that's who your friends are, that's where you're going to end up. It's like sleeping with the dog that has fleas. That's the consequences. It's not what you planned, but that's the way it's going to work. Make friends that have the same values, that'll keep your best interest in mind, and most important, that'll assist you on your walk towards the kingdom of God. And it's not easy. Sometimes it means standing up and saying no to people that you're really good friends with, or you really want to be friends with, or that can really hurt you. But the rewards of cementing good friendships have enormous values. Good does rub off. If you hang around with good people, then just like the bad will rub off, well, the good will rub off. True friends will look out for your best interest, know what your values are, and help you to get there. And in spite of your failings, will help you to develop into a good brother or sister in Christ. And if you have a lot of good friends, that keeps your love bucket full too. And so it makes you feel like you belong. A lot of people in inner cities, they join gangs and stuff like that because they want to belong. Well, you can belong to something bad or you can belong to something good. And so we've chosen to belong to something good and help each other and work together as friends. And so when you're young, you're starting out, you're making friends, remember, you're going to be like your friends. So watch out of who you're friends with, because that's probably the way you're going to end up. Thank you.